Good. I'm exhausted from PT and other things today, so I'm doing Zoom. You know, it's too much. PT and then another appointment, and I also see people better on Zoom because when I'm in the sanctuary, there are people who are taller and they block me. So, so this is better. It's fine.
Great.
Yeah.
I always say PT stands for physical torture, so I don't like it.
So you say that every time, and every time, just like I say, Paul, can you hear me? It is torture, but it's really helping. I have to say. And I do my homework, do it at home, and it is helping a lot.
Great.
Yeah.
Shabbat shalom, Anise.
Shabbat shalom to you too, guys. Thank you everybody for all your notes and all your love and all your caring. I will write back when I get them ready. To you and her, I thank you.
Well, don't feel that pressure. Just relax.
I know that. I'm not allowing you to press it in your hand. I have no
Good.
one of the common of COVID is that you're very kind.
It's unbelievable that you got COVID. When we heard that,
When we were at the dinner,
yeah.
they hugged you, they knew well, and my COVID came to me. I know exactly.
We'll eventually get to say hello to everyone.
He didn't do it on purpose.
All right. So sorry about keeping everyone waiting. I was saying hello to everyone who came out tonight. Shabbat shalom. I hope you can hear me well. Don't take offense. I'm going to mute you all now. So I want to say thank you, especially on this Shabbat. Why, especially on this Shabbat, that you're choosing to come to Shabbat services at the opening of the Olympics. Isn't that happening tonight? Tonight. Isn't that what we all want to watch? So maybe you recorded or DVR'd or whatever. But then again, it's just the opening ceremonies, right?
Right. I did it this afternoon, and it's unbelievably spectacular.
Oh, it already started?
Yeah, only the French could do it.
Oh.
Amazing.
Okay. I'm going to mute you, or everyone, Paul, sorry. But thank you for that information. So, but we'll be out of here relatively early so that if you do want to watch more, you can still have time to watch some tonight. Anyway, these are exciting things that are happening in our world, right? I started watching an amazing documentary on Simone Biles. It's on Netflix right now. My daughter wanted to watch that with me, and it is unbelievable. So, you know, the gymnast, she's the best gymnast in history. She went through a lot at the last Olympics with something called the twisties, where she would get lost in the air. And she was doing by far the most complicated of any flips that anyone was doing. And, you know, I just got to, you know, in the end, you know, she received so much bad press and people calling her quitter and saying this is not what professional athletes do. And you got to see the behind the scenes, the real person of who she was. And it's heartbreaking to hear what she had to go through of something that she could not control. And then she got back on to her, you know, got back on out into the gym, started practicing when she could, and then she went on to win the championships and the world championships, which means she probably, if all goes as well, will win the Olympic gold as well. So I'm kind of invested in her more so than I would have been, and I highly recommend that. Of all the things, you know, I don't know about you, but I'm always looking for something good to watch that's put out there, and that's worthwhile. So again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And we're going to begin right away with our candle lighting. And so we'll call Barbara Joelle. And tonight, Barbara is not just leading us in the candle blessing, but she's doing so in part to honor her father Bertram's memory. May his memory be for a blessing. Yes. Yeah, you want to just read that?
Oh, okay, yeah. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
You can light both candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Oh.
The French way.
Was this your prayer book? And so we welcome in Shabbat with the kindling of the lights. I acknowledged, I think it was last week, this interesting spiritual connection to why we have two candles. Why at that moment? Because there, twice it's mentioned to honor and to remember the Shabbat. But according to the ancients, God said those two separate actions at the same moment, to honor and to remember. And so that's part of what we do on this seventh day. We are to remember creation. We are to remember that we are here and be thankful for life itself, but more than that. And we could say, well, God rested on the seventh day, therefore we should rest. But I think it's a deeper level to that. It's that God created for 6 days and then reflected and took a look back. And that we are made in the image of God. We are creators. We create in so many different ways. And it's good to sometimes look over, just even at a week at a time, to see what impact we've made in this world. And so in that respect, we remember. And to honor, of course, by coming to temple, by joining on Zoom, by maybe having a nice dinner on Shabbat, maybe taking some time to rest and pause. So we welcome in this moment, in this day, with the singing of Lecha Dodi, page 138, as we both remember and honor.
Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabala la la. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabala. Shemor v'zochu b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamu yichad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem otiferet v'liti la 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 lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, ga b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikabela la la. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Please turn to page 127. Another guide as far as what this day can mean to us as we join together on the top of the page in English. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that cannot be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the right of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. I do love that aspect that kind of separates this concept within Judaism of rest from maybe other philosophies of rest. Whereas many philosophies, rest is literally turning off. Our concept of rest is readjusting. It's, yes, there's a break, but it's in order to see what to fix. So it's not quite fully off. You're not quite turned off completely. We continue now, page 146, the call to worship, the Baruch Hu.
Lie, 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 lie,
Please
lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, Hamevorach Leolam Vaed. Hamevorach, Hamevorach Leolam Vaed.
There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nivarech, let us bless together, as we turn to page 152 and 153.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. We will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. The Shema is surrounded by prayers that speak of love. The preceding prayer is called Ahavat Olam, referring to God's love of the world. The prayer that follows the Shema is called Ve'ahavta, means you shall love. And so this quote from Martin Luther King Jr. about love. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Please turn to page 154 as we recite the Ve'ahavta in Hebrew. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'vlechtecha v'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvish arecha. L'ma'an tizkaru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, l'hiot lachem le'elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem emet. And a prayer, a freedom, really a song, sung by the Israelites as they crossed to safety. It's amazing how we remember. We are good rememberers. We remember something that happened well over 3,000 years ago, and we've never stopped. Every service, we remember. We sing this song. The question is, what are we remembering? What is it that we are supposed to remember when we sing the Mecha Mocha? The fact that the Israelites left Egypt is one thing. The fact that they understood slavery and worked towards never letting that happen again is a whole other thing. And so we join in this memory, again, in order to promote us, prompt us to bring that into the world. Page 158.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, no ra tehilot, o seifele, o seifele. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, no ra tehilot, o seifele, o seifele.
Additionally, we could see Shabbat as a time to allow us to be grateful. Our world is troubled, that is for sure. There are times when things seem upside down and backwards. But regardless of what we have gone through recently or throughout history, we always take moments to be grateful. And these are actually not Jewish quotes. They're from others, still speak to the truth of gratefulness. This is a Vietnamese proverb. When eating fruit, remember the one who planted the tree. This one is from Maya Angelou. This is a wonderful day. I've never seen this one before. And this from Cicero. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. We continue now with saying how grateful we are for Shabbat with Yismechu, page 162. And we call Spencer Herman forward to join us, join his voice to stand. Maybe mine, but I'll just let you guys do your thing.
Yismechu v'malachutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei, Mekadeshei Shavi Shabbat, V'emdat Maradam, V'yitbrahu V'varasei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Uvashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat, chemdat yamim oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Zeichel l'maseh, l'maseh v'reishit Shabbat. Zeichel l'maseh, l'maseh v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat.
Please turn out to page 164, as we can all join together in this meditation, which leads us into the prayers on page 166 and then 168, as we rise together.
Adonai,
Adonai,
Sifatai Tiftach,
Sifatai Tiftach,
Ufi Yagid,
V'yagid,
Tehilatecha,
Tehilatecha,
Adonai,
Adonai,
open up my lips,
open up my lips,
that my mouth may declare your praise.
may declare your praise.
Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu V'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagipor V'hanorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chazdei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Hoseh U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah. Atagi bor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol harav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Kayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha ba'al gevurot umidom melach melech memid umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'neman atal chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hakol Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kdoshum b'chol yom milchasela Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. Thankful for the wisdom we possess. This is a quote by Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. We take these next few moments for silent meditation.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon L'chol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon L'chol hashalom. Shalom Rav v'Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav v'Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha livarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eid u'b'chol sha'ar b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav v'Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav v'Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam, tasim leolam.
Please turn to page 371. And before we join together in the Mishberach prayer for healing, I invite you to speak the names of those you are thinking of who are in need of healing of any sort. Either say their names aloud or in your hearts. I will first start here in the congregation and then turn to those on Zoom. Continued health and healing for you, Emmy. You're welcome. Yes. Dr. Lore? Barbara? Brooke Joel? Mara? Hannah Levy? Paul Vagoda? I had him on my list. I'm glad you said him. Come.
Okay. Susan, Carol, Fern, and Eric.
And now, those who are joining us on Zoom, either unmute yourselves or send a chat. Go ahead, Susan. You're muted, though. In the meantime, prayers for healing for Joel Walker. Okay. Go ahead, Susan.
Okay. The family of Maynard Guavera.
Yes, Stacy.
Shelley and Bruce Roberts.
I can't hear you, Anise. It looks like you're talking, but I can't hear you. We cannot hear you. But we also send our healing prayers to you, Anise, and your family in your time of mourning. All right. I'm not sure if are you trying to turn your volume on? Okay. Anise will, if you want to put it in the chat, but otherwise
You got
Oh.
me now?
Yes, we got you now.
Okay, I just wanted to include, unfortunately, my daughter Lorraine joined me in the COVID, so I wish her good health. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, well, we include Lorraine as well.
Yeah.
Additionally, Tzvi Yitzchak Dov HaKohen Ben Etzel, Miriam Leah, David Scott Cohen, Sandy Cohen, Jared, Gary, Davida Bat Sarah Leba, Etkalea Bat Moshe Shaul, Ruth Stambler, Kati, Arlene, Lynn, Leah, Ali Snyder, Karen G., Richard Cohen and family, Marsha Colton, Robert Cohen, David and Chie, and Dorothy Lubau. And again, other names were said already. We include all of them in our prayers. And we continue now with the Misha Berach.
Mishe Beirach Avotenu Mikur HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Beirach Imotenu Mikur HaBracha liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
This week's Torah portion is Parshat Pinchas, coming from the book of Numbers. And we can do a little study together. So a blessing for study. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Well, before we read a section from the Torah portion, I want to tell you a little something. Something very big happened this week, obviously. Major leader of a nation decided it was time to kind of pass the torch, right? After many, many, many years of leading, I'm talking about our Torah portion. Actually, that happens with Moses in this week's Torah portion. Okay, but I could also be talking about President Joe Biden. Unbelievable, the coincidence that occurs here, but it is right there. And I figured it would be an interesting opportunity to see how the rabbis, the ancient rabbis from thousands of years ago, understood this moment in the life of Moses to educate us maybe about what behind the scenes was going on in Joe's mind and really in anyone who steps down from a position. So let's take a look at together at the actual passage where this comes up. Moses spoke to God, saying, Vayidaber Moshe el Adonai lemor. Let God, source of breath of all flesh, appoint someone over this community who shall go out before them and come in before them, who shall take them and bring them in, so that God's community may not be like sheep that have no shepherd. And God answered Moses, pick Joshua, son of Nun, an inspired man, and lay your hands upon him. And so while we have this incredibly coincidental moment that happens in our Torah portion, as I said, I think while I'm not suggesting that what Moses goes through is the same as what Joe Biden or anyone else goes through, but if nothing else, this moment, we are able to get an insight into the mind and the heart of Moses. And that an understanding that even great leaders of great nations are still at the end of the day people. And stepping down at any point is most likely very difficult. Before this moment occurs in this week's Torah portion, some other things have happened in Moses' life that we need to be aware of and take account of, and I think play a role possibly in guiding him to make this decision. His sister Miriam has died several months ago, his older sister. His brother Aaron has died recently, his older brother. And with losing his siblings, along with the fact that Moses himself is very old, we can safely assume that before this moment occurs, Moses is asking himself, who's going to succeed me? When is my career going to be over? When am I going to die? And so there's a lot of emotion going on in his own mind that we have to assume. But then there is this very telling moment. We don't hear much about Moses' internal struggle, except for this comment that God makes to Moses. As if God can read Moses' mind, and maybe God can do that. God says to Moses, once you have seen the land of Israel from afar, you will die. You will be gathered to your people, as your brother Aaron was. Now that added little bit about your brother Aaron confounds the ancient rabbis. In other words, I'm just going to mute a couple of people. In other words, why does God bring that up? Why doesn't God just say, you'll die peacefully? Because God senses something else going on within Moses, and it has very much to do with his decision to step down as leader. Apparently, Moses was envious of his brother, Aaron. He was jealous of him, of something about him. But Aaron isn't the great leader. Moses is. I mean, Aaron is a great leader. He was the leader and the responsible one for the religious aspects of Judaism. But what would Moses have to be jealous? Moses is Moses, right? Moses was the one who split the sea and did all these wonderful things. And so the ancient rabbis put their heads to it, and they asked this question, and a very insightful rabbi known as the Katav Sofer, Hungarian rabbi, gives a truly insightful interpretation. What Moses is really jealous about is how Aaron had the privilege of knowing that his own children would follow in his footsteps. In fact, Eleazar, Aaron's son, was appointed as high priest in Aaron's lifetime. And in time, Aaron's grandchildren would continue to hold those positions for generations. In fact, to this day, if you know a Kohen who knows that they are a Kohen, they know they're a Kohen. And they sometimes remind you about it. They are the descendants of Aaron. But Moses apparently longed to see one of his own sons, who we hear very little about, Gershom and Eliezer, take his place as leader of the people. Yet neither son did so in his lifetime, nor would either do so after Moses' death, or any of his grandchildren, etc. In fact, it would be Moses' disciple, Joshua, who will succeed Moses. Rashi, the biblical commentator, furthers this notion that Moses is troubled. He has this disappointment, that he's worried about stepping down because of what will follow, that he has this internal turmoil of feeling like he has been a disappointment to himself. In the next story that occurs in the Torah, in this story, which seems unrelated, but it's not once you hear it, I'll tell you the story. 5 daughters of a man named Zelophehad asked Moses if they could be permitted to inherit land in the land of Israel that would have gone to their father had their father not died, or if they had a brother, it would have gone to them. But Zelophehad only had daughters and no sons, and there was zero precedent that daughters should receive land. But here's what the daughters insisted when they approached Moses. We deserve this land in order to protect our father's legacy. Rashi insists at that moment. Moses internalizes. It's one of the 4 times in the entire Torah where Moses turns around and asks God. And Rashi is not saying he's asking God what to do. Moses knows the answer. Sure. But Moses is going to God at that moment and saying, what about my children? What about my legacy? What will happen to that? And God says to him, it won't be your sons, but it will be your student, Joshua. This all sounds very sad, but it shouldn't. It is actually not a punishment. In fact, we need to see this as a very positive and productive message. It says that there are 2 primary ways in which our efforts in this world live on through others. One is through parenting or grandparenting like Aaron. The other is through teaching like Moses. As it turns out, the Hebrew word for a parent is hora. The Hebrew word for teacher is mora. They come from the same word. They come from the same word, which means guidance and instruction. And as it turns out, that word is Torah. Hora, Mora, and Torah. And so I can imagine in that eventually Moses takes comfort in this perspective that even though his sons will not succeed him, his student will. And this will become the model for continuity of Judaism and the Jewish people from that moment on. And so there are those of us who don't have children or grandchildren, those of us who don't have students, etc. But Judaism says there's always a way. There's always a way to allow your legacy to live on. A later Talmudic passage states that when we teach someone Torah, we take a part in shaping that person. We take part in helping that person become who they are. In other words, teachers are like parents as well. And so I conclude by saying no matter what position or title you hold, no matter what we do in life, whether it's big or small, may we see each of us as having the opportunity to leave a legacy behind if we choose to. The legacy that is found within Torah, Morah, and Torah. Shabbat Shalom. Now, if I was not going to mention this, maybe I shouldn't, but Pinchas, by the way, we have to go back now 2 weeks. Pinchas, by the way, is known primarily for assassination. Now, I know that it didn't seem to compare to what was going on in our world at all, as there was an attempted assassination, but I do think it's kind of crazy when we really look at the Torah and say, how does it still speak to us today? How is it still so relevant? And there's really only one answer. As modern and as liberal as we are, we must see the fingerprint of God within its words. All right, please turn to page 586. Oops, did not mean to skip the Aleinu for those who are online. Give me 1 second. What happened to you, Aleinu? It disappeared. Okay, well, for those who are online, I'll ask you to recite it by heart. Please rise for the Aleinu as the ark is open. Adonai, Melech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. You may be seated. And we turn to page 598 to remember those who have died, first in recent days in this period of Shloshim, this first month after their passing. We have a number of those connected with our community who have passed in recent days. We remember Robert Janasik, beloved grandson of Anise Cherry. We remember Sanford Kirschenbaum, my cousin. Joel Fishkind, beloved husband of Arlene Fishkind. Bob Bialik, very old member of Temple Judea, and and a dear friend of many, including the Bergmans. I actually saw Linda Bergman today, and she alerted me to Bob's passing. And also to Michael Rosenberg, was a dear friend of Bob as well. Additionally, Michael Rosenberg contacted me about two others. As he said, he's getting to that age where friends die. Jeffrey Wittenberg and Michael Schinder as well. May their memories, all of their memories, be for blessing. Are there any others whose names can be mentioned for those who have died in recent days? Yes, Paul.
Hyacinth Coca Barron, our sister-in-law.
Oh, God comfort you.
Thank you.
And if you want her name to be said, just contact the office so Shari can put it onto the list. I believe there was another name included before in the chat. Is that correct, Rich Cohen, that it's Donald Mason is also to be added?
Yes.
Okay. We also remember those who have died at this season in years past, that the anniversary of their passing, their yurtzeit. Milton Baker, Adele Berger, Gordon Bushell, Marcy Klein, Diana Cohen, Isaac Eigenfeld, Lillian Gerstmann, Jonathan Matthew Greenberg, Goldie Gross, Ben Grover, Sarah Hersfeld, Henrietta Hirschhorn, Anna Loventhal, Esther Luper, Bertram Meister, Philip Rader, Nisim Shankerman, Albert Young. And were there any others whose names were to be mentioned that weren't? No, okay. Of course, we also include, each time we say the Mourner's Kaddish, those who have died defending our country, those who have died defending the Jewish state, all of those who perished through acts of terrorism, and all of those who died in the Shoah and the Holocaust. Zecher Tzadik Levracha, may the memory of all of the righteous live on as a blessing. I ask the mourners among us to rise, along with those who say the words of the Kaddish each time it's said, as we say together, Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divarach hirutei v'yamlich machutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon, v'chayei t'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ulamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitfa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei t'kudsha b'richu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata dami ram b'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all of the bereaved. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. We have a couple of board members here. I don't know if anyone wants to come up to make the announcements. Are you nominating Philip? Who seconds that? We don't have that many announcements.
I'll make some up.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Our Friday night services will continue at 7:30 throughout the summer. Due to summer vacation schedules, our August services will mostly be led by Cantor Jacobson. But I hope you're going to be here on the 9th and 30th. Okay, we'll talk about it. We will have the ice cream freezer stocked for all summer services for those able to attend in person. Please save the date of Sunday, November 17th for our annual Cantor concert. Following services, please join us for the oneg at the conclusion of services. Shabbat shalom to all.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Okay.
I will not be here next Friday,
Right.
but I think the cantor is, right?
Yeah. She's going to be here the 2nd, 16th, and 23rd.
Wonderful. So that's exciting. Change of pace, right? Anything else? Nothing else? All right. Wonderful. Well, in that case, we have our concluding song, and is that Oseh Shalom tonight? Are you doing that by yourself?
I hope with everybody.
You hope everyone joins in. Okay.
Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, V'yal Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, Imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yal Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yal Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yal Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yal Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yal Kol Yisrael.
Amen. Please rise for a final benediction. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, God of our mothers and our fathers who have gone before us, let us not wait till the end of our careers to look back. Let us take a pause every week to see the effect and the impact we are having on those around us every week. And in this way, when we do finally decide, whenever that might be, to step down from wherever we are, that we feel proud, accomplished, knowing we have done everything we possibly could. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Take care. See you all in a week or so. More than a week. What's that?